We back. I'm JB. This is Bucket Up Leftovers. Random content, random times, random content, random times, random topics, random guests, random interviews, saying random things. Just wanted to touch on a couple of things. I think it's important for me, not important, but the way my Instagram runs is it's a digital journal. Kind of like an ongoing update on what's going on in my life and then kind of how I feel about things. Definitely admit I'm obnoxious and I'm opinionated and outspoken on there. But, the beauty of that product is, you can make it your own, right? And I will say I'm very authentic with what I say on there. I definitely have enough friends and family to let me know that when I post something that's not aligned with really who I am, they call me out for it. So I feel like I'm safe there. And yeah, man, I feel like Instagram, when it first started, its intentions were that, man, to be just a digital journal. Hey, this is what I'm eating, this is where I'm going, this is what I'm wearing. And I hate to sound like the old man on the lawn, but it kind of started getting, a little much when memes happened, because memes then have like opinions tied to them, and then people share them, and then it creates like a community behind them. And a lot of the times it's opinionated, if not 90% of the time opinionated, so it gets moved around, and then opinion becomes like actual talking points. Or and I don't know, I know it's obvious, everybody that posts on Instagram or social media, they want the most likes and views, but I do also believe everybody there's some people that have something to say, and then there's somebody that has to say something. And I believe that majority of what we see on the internet is just people feeling like they have to post something because it's just what everybody else is doing. And then I do feel that genuine content like myself does get shoveled down a little bit, buried under the algorithm, just because who needs authenticity these days when nothing really matters? But I made a post a couple of weeks ago alluding to a story that I love, and it's, as time goes on, it becomes even a better story because I'm not in danger anymore. But I want to take you guys back to the time I got arrested, detained in Texas when I was like 19, 20 years old. Boom. Check it. I'm at Arizona State University. This is my sophomore year. Mind you, I'm in Arizona, and I'm going to a local community college to gain residency so I can get in-state tuition. I'm from New York. I moved to Arizona into my senior year of high school. Kind of wanted to explore, so stayed. My family moved back, got accepted went to community school, got accepted to ASU, didn't want to pay out-of-state tuition, so went to community college for about a year. Had a bunch of homies at Arizona State, had a bunch of homies at the community colleges, and it was getting towards the summer. Everybody had summer plans. Luckily some people were, from the mommy and daddy scholarship, so they had, summer trips, and their family had a boathouse and, a lake house on the lake. I worked, I put myself through school. I paid and worked every, 40 hours on top of full-time student. I did a lot, right? And I had some homies that told me that they worked in the summer, they did sales jobs, and then they made some crazy money. And at the time I was doing sales. All throughout college I did cell phone sales. I was in the cell phone game, which before smartphones, it was a great industry because you actually had to sell people on phones, like, oh, this phone flips, this phone has this. Now people just walk in, I want the iPhone, I want this, they already know, right? So you're more of an order taker. But it held me down in college. And I was, very egotistical. I thought I was like the king salesman. Oh, if you guys do sales, I'll double what you guys got going on. So they talked about it, and eventually I knew something was unique because they wouldn't just flat out tell me like, oh, we do this. It was like, they always like, said some sideways stuff like, yeah, we help people with marketing. We provide solutions for homeowners. I was like, all right. Okay, what's their problems though, right? And eventually they're like, come with me, man. We'll take you out to dinner. We'll let you meet the bosses in the office, and, they'll tell you more about the job. And I'm like, all right. So they're the homies, right? So I believe them. I trust them. And take me to the office, and boom, the cliche boiler room type, big office. This guy takes it out to the homie. He, got in my face, was like, how do you value success? I was like, I don't know. I don't think I've been successful yet. And he was like, see, that's the type of stuff we look for here. And I was like, all right, well, one for one, I guess. I'm sure we will not bat 1,000 going on. Give me another question. I'm sure I'll let you down. And, of course, they recruited me, saucing me up. And they're like, yo, you guys ready for dinner? They take us to Pizzeria Bianca. So for people not familiar with Arizona, this is a world famous best pizza in the world that got voted by, I don't believe the results, but no, people tell me, oh, this is the best pizza in Arizona. Oprah flies her plane twice a week and comes here. I was like, now, when people lie that aggressively, I don't need to proceed with any of the transaction. I don't want the pizza. I don't want to know this person that told me, oh, Oprah comes here twice a week. Like, come on. That's like the homie. I had a friend in elementary school. He told me Michael Jordan was his cousin. And, who are we to say, no, he's not? So we just allowed it. No more. I want to see Oprah here if she flies in twice a week. Anyway, so essentially they get to a boom. It's a door-to-door sales job. I'm not gonna wine and dine you guys. So boom, door-to-door sales job, and I'm thinking, all right, well, sales. If I could just pop in and be the sales guy that I know I'm at with the cell phones, I'll be good. Because at the cell phone game, I was top shit. I was, always like top 1 or 2 in the store or the company. So I was like, oh, I got this, Door to door, what are we selling? Alarms. I was like, oh, that's even easier. Like, I could just talk about how, like, it's not a safe world out there. You want to protect your house, all that stuff. Oh, I got that. So boom, they convinced me. They sold me on it. Now I had to sell my parents on it. And mind you, I come from, when I say I have conservative parents, I don't mean politically. They're like very blue to the bone. They're very liberal, proudly, and I'm very proud of them because they're on the right side of history. But they're very kind of stuck in their ways when it comes to like career path. More so, one more than the other. I'll let their, whatever if they see this. But at the time, they were not having any of it. They liked the idea that I worked the cell phones, I had benefits. It was paying for my college. They liked all of it. It was safe, right? I told them the idea, and they didn't want to hear any of it. They were thinking the worst. What if you get killed, or somebody hurts you, or I don't want you walking around in a place you don't know. What if you get tied up? All these crazy things. And I was trying to explain how my friends did it, and I'm gonna be with people I trust, and it's a job that I feel like I'm capable of doing, so why not? So against my parents' will, they kind of said like, well, go ahead and do it, and we don't approve, but we can't stop you, but don't ask us for help, and if you get locked up or if you get arrested, don't call me. And I was like, all right, I got you. And yeah, in my parents' defense, I was a very rebellious, free-spirited. I still am pretty free-spirited. I'm not that rebellious anymore. I kind of, I boycott my bedtime. I rebel against that, if you count that. But other than that, I'm like, I feel like I've definitely calmed down over the years. But against my parents' wishes, I go and do the job. And it was in the summer. It was in New Jersey. I'm from New York. So, boom, just, less than an hour and a half drive. With traffic, it was like 2-3 hours. Made it. I had a homie, shout out to my homie Ivan. He was from ASU, Arizona State, and he got sold on doing the job, but he was going to be a technician. So I was going to sell the alarms, and he was going to install them. And I convinced him to come out for the summer. I'm a great friend, bro. I gave him my car for the summer. Just let him use my car for the entire summer. He paid for gas, mind you, but it was my car, and I never saw it all summer. It was Ivan's car for the summer. That was a good hookup, but that's a good deal. So I let him use my car all summer. He did installs. He was really good at the job. Summer's over, and I got offered to go to an extension. So I was going to take time off school anyway, and I figured, all I got to do is apply to the next college I want to get to. I can do this job. For the people that did well over the summer, they offered what was called the extension, and you could fly out to a different office and work there from basically from the end of August to November, right before Thanksgiving type. But if you're really good, you can get done by the end of October, Halloween-ish, November 1st-ish, right? So boom, I got offered to go to San Antonio, Texas. And my parents, again, were not thrilled with the idea. And they also said something like, yo, in no disrespect to Texas, I love parts of San Antonio. I haven't been anywhere else really. But they were like, yo, people in the South don't like Jews. People anywhere don't really like Jews. I don't feel safe, again, with you being there. And I was like, guys, I know how to do this job now. I did it all summer. I'm actually one of the top dogs. I will say I did get Rookie of the Year. I was the top selling first year rep. So that was kind of cool. I I go to Texas now, and mind you, I'm playing with a little bit of fire because we were supposed to have soliciting permits, licenses to do what we were doing, and we did, and I had mine, but I didn't have my paper, my physical paper. And I will admit now that they did have the law was you had to have the physical copy on you, not just be registered. Me thinking I was above the law, Mr. Smooth, I can talk my way out of anything. I didn't think it was a big deal. I also knew it was. I thought it wasn't a big deal because I was actually scheduled to go the next morning with the HR lady to go get the paperwork. But because I arrived there basically in the middle of a workday, they just asked if, and I asked if I could just hit the ground. And because we were commission only, the only way you got paid is if you sold items. And I was hot, ready to, go with a chip on my shoulder because, again, I had the whole, my parents didn't want me to do it, and I felt some type of way, had a thing to prove. So I kind of, went against the law. I broke the law. I can't lie with you, but at that time, at that age, and, you don't consider that, you consider it like littering or something. So you didn't think anything would happen. So I'm going throughout my area, is what they called it in the job. You basically got an assigned, couple of blocks for the week, and then you're supposed to just knock on doors every day. They drop you off at a certain time, they pick you up at a certain time, and you create your own clientele. Some people are really good at it, some people are really bad at it, some people didn't even try, some people tried a lot and didn't get anywhere. I found I was bad for the first couple of weeks in the summer. I would cry, I would, complain to my coworkers, I would blame the homies that brought me on and, beg them to like give me some sort of secret sauce that didn't exist. But I figured it out. I started getting a groove, and I was like, all right, well, you know, I can figure this out. So I was making more money than doing the cell phone shit, and I felt cool because I was earning this money like really hard. It was a very tough job. You're knocking on somebody's door, and within, less than an hour, you're signing them up for a $5,000 contract, and you sold them on the idea that all they're paying for is the monthly service, which is true, and they got all the items for free, which is also true. But for people that didn't know you 30 minutes ago, to now agreeing to pay $55 a month for the next 5 years, that's pretty impressive, right? Like, what kind of, communication skills do you have to not only let somebody let you in their home? We were walking in people's homes, taking our shoes off, sitting at their kitchen table, telling them why their house wasn't safe. And I literally walked inside and know nothing about home improvement, know nothing about building a house, but, everything I said was true. I never lied about the monthly cost. It was a real product. It was real, tied to the cops. I've had a couple positive stories of reviews of them telling me how they had some, potential scares. And then, there was plenty of customers that you would knock on the door, and because you were in the neighborhood, they're like, oh, are you the alarm guy? Great. I've been waiting for you. And I got like maybe 10 to 30% of my deals that way. And I would just be like, all right, bust out the binder, boom, boom. They're like, and they would do the sale for you. They'd be like, 55 a month? Okay. Can you take credit? Okay. And I'll pay the activation fee. You're like, all right, And mind you, it was a good deal. But this is the first day I'm there without my license. I think I'm king shit. And a couple of houses don't like what you're doing, right? And they'll play along with you, and then last thing you know, they'll call the cops on you. That happened a lot, especially in Jersey. I'm walking around doing my thing. I see a cop coming in the neighborhood. I'm like, he's definitely, unless he lives here, he's coming for me. So I keep doing my thing, keep knocking on doors left and right. Then he finally flags me down. It's two cops, a guy and a girl. And cliches can be they're wearing cowboy hats, and I was like, all right, this is exactly what my parents talked about. Let's see. They were like, we heard somebody going around trying to burglarize houses and trying to ask, things about their houses. And I was like, well, I'm going around asking them. I'm selling products. Yeah, I'm going around talking to people, but I'm not burglarizing. I'm doing the opposite. I'm selling an alarm system. I'm trying to prevent that. And I'm a smart ass. And he's like, oh, you think you're funny? And I was like, no, I'm sorry. So boom, boom, against the car. And I'm like, whoa, boom, against the car. Like, yo, all right, bet. Where's your license? Where's this? I was like, I'm out here on a, job. I don't have my license. I'm registered, but I don't have my copy. All I have is my driver's license, which all I had was my New York driver's license and my Arizona one, mind you. And they were like, let me see your license. And I was like, all right. And mind you, I have a fucked up signature. I don't got the best signature. When you sign your license, it's your signature. So they were like, why does this signature look fake? I was like, I don't know. I have bad handwriting, sir. I can't explain that. And they're like, well, so it is a fake signature. I was like, no. And mind you, I was very animated. I was like waving my hands and talking like a New Yorker and stuff, which was not good because they were like clutching on their gun. They kept being like, hey, move you. Like, stop getting animated. And I was like, oh, fuck. Yeah. So I genuinely was like worried because I was like, oh, I'm being genuine in this situation and nothing's working. So they're like, I'm going to ask you again, why, does your ID look fake? I was like, oh, well, I mean, it's not fake, it's the signature. I don't know what to say, sir. And then at that point, I was like, here's my New York license. And he's like, why do you have two licenses? I was like, I used to live in New York, and I moved to Arizona, so I have a different, I took a picture, and he's like, why do these pictures look different? And I was like, well, sir, I took one picture in New York, and I looked different at the moment. And then I took a picture in Arizona, and I looked different in the moment. And he was like, no, you look the same in every picture. So I was like, what? And it just became a weird, scenario. And then the lady, not the guy, takes my ID and goes, New Yorker, huh? I was like, yeah. And she goes, you must be a Jew. I was like, so I really knew, after that, I really knew what time it was. So they're like, get in the car. I was like, get in the car? And they were like, boom, kind of like throw me in the shit. And I was like, all right. And at this moment, I was like, this sucks because this is what my parents were talking about. And I really can't call them. I don't know who to call. And I don't really have office people's numbers. I just came to this office from Jersey, and none of the Jersey, I was only like 5 Jersey people, and they're all like at the same level. So they're not going to help me. They can't. They're out of pocket. They have no car, right? So I really didn't know what to do. So I'm just chilling in this cop car for like an hour or two, and they had my phone, they had everything. So I was like, all right, well, they're like, we'll go through your phone, we'll call for you. I was like, I'm trying to like think who in the phone I have and how do I have them listed? Because like I don't, when you take a coworker's number down, it could be like anything because you don't know if you need it for like the alarm code at work or like how to get a file or you don't need it at all. So I was like, you could try Dave, and I think I put Dave V, and he's like, why don't you know? And like, how come you don't know people's names in your phone? And I was like, sir, I don't know, man. Like, what? And at this point, he's like, oh, you getting mad at me? I was like, no, I'm just in the car, and I don't know. I'm trying to talk to you through the window. And, dude, it's getting crazy. So, finally, my boss comes, bro, and, he doesn't know what to do. So, he's just like, like don't shoot. But, like, he has, like, his driver's license. Like, hey, I got this. And he just walks up right away. And they're like, no, we don't need your license. We want to know what's up with him. And this guy, my homie Dave, he doesn't know me like that. He's like, how come he has 2 licenses? And he's like, oh, officer, I don't know at all. Like, what? Why would he? And I was like, he's like, why would he have 2 licenses? I was like, you're not helping, Dave. So yeah, long story short, he got me out. I ended up going to the office the next morning, getting my license. And then throughout the rest of that time of the extension, I did not give a fuck. I pumped my chest out because I had the golden ticket, and there was cops called me plenty of times, they'd pull up. I'd have my license in the back of my binder, license to solicit, in the area codes, everything, and he would just look at the people, shrug his shoulders, and keep it pushing. I had a great time in San Antonio. I ended up becoming, I was like the 3rd best rep, behind 2 seasoned reps, so I was good there. Made a good amount of money. I was able to go on a cruise in Mexico. I paid, I paid off my, community college debt, and then I got accepted to Arizona State, and I ended up going to Arizona State where I, fell in love with sports media and broadcasting and podcasting and everything. So, sometimes you take some side steps. Sometimes you take 2 steps back for a couple steps forward. Sometimes you take a couple steps into a cop car and then into college. So, Bucket Up Media, Bucket Up Leftovers. I am the Kid JB. Like this story on Instagram. Subscribe, follow. We're only going to be building from here. We in the bakery 2.0. I'm moving in. I'm moved in, and we're on to better things. Tune in, turn up, and of course, bucket up.